Okay guys, so you went ahead and wrote pose on the top of your paper, and I asked you guys to underline specific words or important events that helped us figure out text structure, whether it was a first-hand, second-hand account, and of course the important events in green. I did an example paragraph, but you guys will do the rest as I read to you. The best birthday party ever. When I was 10 years old, the United States celebrated its 200th birthday. As the day drew closer, I grew more and more excited. Growing up in New York, I always thought the 4th of July was a fun occasion, but our family knew that this bicentennial celebration would be extra special. Even my 2-year-old brother knew something exciting was happening. It almost seemed like we were waiting impatiently for our own birthdays to arrive. My sister, brother, and I all shared the same sleepless excitement and sense of butterflies in our stomachs. There were lots of preparations to make. In June, the kids in our city painted all the fire hydrants. Some got stars and some got stripes, but all now wore red, white, and blue instead of the chipped yellow paint that they had been covered in. The firefighters thought it was a good idea too and helped paint the hydrants on our street. At the end of the month, my mom bought streamers to hang from our front porch. The tri-colored decoration looked very patriotic, but I thought it was important to display our American flag too. We hung the flag between the pillars on the porch. Now our house was ready to celebrate. A few days before the 4th, a giant flag was hung on a bridge near our house. It was the largest U.S. flag that had ever been made, and it was hung from one of the longest bridges in the country. There was a problem, however. Because the wind in the harbor pushed the flag against the bridge cables again and again, small tears occurred. As a result, the wind was able to whip through the holes and shred the beautiful symbol of our country. Finally, it was Independence Day. We went down to the waterfront at noon. Mom packed a big picnic, enough for all our cousins, aunts, and uncles. Even Grandpa came, beaming with happiness and pride. He said he was glad that he had lived to see the bicentennial. He said that this day made him glad he had immigrated to this country all those years ago. At about 2 p.m., we saw the first ship sail into New York Harbor. It was a tugboat, a tiny craft able to pull ships many times its own weight. It was followed by other tugboats and a fireboat that had a water cannon. That boat shot a blast of water high into the air to announce the arrival of the next ships. They were the tall ships, and they were breathtaking. Nearly all of these ships were made of wood, with sails carried on tall masts. Grandpa said he thought the ships were beautiful, much more so than modern ships. The ships glided elegantly under the Verrazano Bridge and were met by hundreds of small boats. The tiny boats moved through the harbor excitedly, dancing around each other as they greeted the tall ships that had come from 14 different countries. That night we went back to the water's edge to watch the fireworks. We clapped and cheered as rockets hissed and boomed over the inky waters of the harbor. We knew people were doing the same thing all across the land. Together we celebrated our independence and our country's birthday. The United States was 200 years old. I was glad that I was at that party.